All right, Andy, here we are. We're going to get started with the teardown of your 6138. Let's get this process rolling. All right. Yeah, lots of dirt. But hopefully it's just dirt. Yeah, you can see here. This kind of damage is moisture that has yanked out some of the material and actually has degraded the metal a bit around your winding weight. That's not fantastic, but we're gonna have to hand clean that a little bit. Red letter text, which is cool. It's a hallmark of the A movements, both on the 6139s, and the 6138s. All right. Ooh, this is pretty grubby. Lots of little bits of stuff. All right. Let's get your pawl lever. Let's get some Rotoco over here and clean these guys up. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Ooh-wee. Let's take your die shock out. Alright, that's about as far as I can go while it's in the case. That will need a clean as well. Ooh-wee. Grubby. Wow, what is that? It's like there's little critters living in there. Hard to know what you can find inside of a case. Yeah. Wow. Woo. I do think those are little... This is going to be kind of gross, but I think those are egg sacs of something. Gross. Okay. Well, that's the good stuff. That's the grimy stuff. That was tough. Okay, well, your stem is out. That's always a good sign. Alright, so dial looks okay. It certainly has its hairs and some bits and pieces here to think about. Let's see if we can come up with a good strategy for removing your hands. There we go. There we go. Just takes a little effort there. Okay, I think I can do the same here. Your stem isn't really an option for moving your hands around, so I'm going to have to take them off as they sit, which isn't bad. Luckily. Oh, come on now. There we go. Okay, so we have a 1, 5 and a 1, 3. Not bad. That is consistent with this being the original dial for this watch. Very good. Okay. Well, dial and hands are out of the way, so we can take a breath and relax a bit. It's nice. All right. Woo! Your day disc has a bit of rubbing on it. I don't know if you can see that. Perhaps you can. I don't think it's going to be really too visible. You know, it's funny because, for example, my watch here, the date ring looks terrible if you just look at the whole ring. But day over day, it doesn't look bad at all. I was going to replace it, and I thought, you know what? Let's just take a look. I mean, maybe one day out of the month it looks bad, but that's okay. All right. Great. Let's see how we come apart and see what's lurking down below. You can see some of the features of the A movement, the lack of a offset screw here to adjust this position, the lack of an adjusting screw here for the hammer. This wheel is actually staked to this bridge. I'm just doing a little bit of kind of random cleanup here just to kind of get a sense of where we're starting. I think a lot of this is just grime. I don't think it's particularly watery. The bridges, the edge of the bridges are nice and clean. That means your winding is actually pretty good. You got a big scratch right here. The base metal seems okay. All right, well that's always heartening. That's good to see. Okay, so let's keep going. Andy, I don't know what happened. I lost my phone somehow and missed the process. Unfortunately, I didn't get any footage of the disassembly, which is really a problem for me. However, let me just say what I said during the process. The movement itself looks really good, and parts that I was fearful of having issues, like the keyless works and some of the other parts, they actually look really quite good. I'm going to inspect all of your parts to make sure that everybody is exactly as they should be, and then we will start with cleaning and reassembly. So you're in good shape. Everything looks good, at least from disassembly point of view. We will do some hardcore inspections to go forward, but it's a good movement. I think you're very lucky in the sense that the moisture that's clouded your dial a little bit didn't make its way into the movement very deeply. Yes, you have some issues with your winding weight, but otherwise, the important parts that are actually part of the performance of the watch, they actually look pretty good. So I'm heartened by that, and I think we're going to have a good cleaning and reassembly process. All right. So sorry about the loss of footage, but we will come back and have a assembled watch. Well, at least the assembly of the watch. All right, thanks so much. Okay, Andy. Well, we are ready. We're back and ready to start assembly. A few little things. There was an issue with your chronograph wheel. In fact, this was a little scary. I put this in a rig to test it, which is basically the upper portion of the movement, to make sure that I can lubricate it and do some other things and do some checks. And it turns out when I looked under the really high magnification, your upper pivot was mushroomed over. It was sort of bent and pushed out, which was really nasty. It turns out I had to polish this pivot. So now it's fine. It looks good, and I've tested it, so it should be right. But we'll have to keep a close look at that. It may need another polish. Okay, we're going to start reassembly now. So everything is cleaned and gone over, lubricated where it needs to be. We're going to start inspecting your components here just to be sure that everybody's clean and happy. Okay, well, that came off. I'll have to reaffix that. Okay. Onto the train. All right, there we are. Okay, let's put it on the time grapher and see how it's doing. Be right back. All right, well, considering where we started, which was non-running, this is quite a good starting point for making adjustments. I basically don't have to do anything. This thing is pretty much perfect. So I am frankly going to just leave this alone. That little bit of beat error, we'll have to work on the final adjustment once we get it in the case, which means that it's going to be upside down from this position, which can often lead to slight, differences in the rates and things. But frankly, I am staggered by how good this is doing right after service. So I'm going to let it break in. I'm going to let all the lubrication sort of even out and move its way through the train. And yeah, we're just going to watch this thing run. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, Andy. Well, we are here on the calendar side. We're going to install the last few components and get ready to put your dial and hands back on. Okay, so next is dial and hands. We'll be back. Okay, Andy. Well, we are here at the finish line, ready to get the last few pieces put in place, and then we will be done with this watch, and we'll be ready to move on to the next one. So we're just gonna put your winding weight, or your winding components, and then your winding weight in place. I got your winding weight fairly well cleaned up. It looks a lot better than it did, and it doesn't have any more of that corrosion. Okay, new case back seal is installed. Right. Okay, well, here we are. The finished product. Okay, well, let's discuss a little bit about what we've done. The watch is running spectacular. It really took well to service. There were some issues, and they were minor things. There were some your minute recording wheel. The pinion actually came off of the gear, so I had to restake that. Your day disc was actually misaligned, and so I had to bring that back into alignment and then restake that as well. Overall, though, I think it came out really nice. The decision to re-lume, I think, was a really good one. Your dial isn't perfect in terms of, it had some water that had sat on the dial a little bit, and it's taken away a little bit of the material here, and there are a couple spots here and there. But the thing about when you make something really, you enhance the features of the dial, it diminishes those small imperfections that one may focus on if you see something that doesn't have this bright lume. So I think that decision was a good one. I want to take you through the functions and give you some caveats and some things about these A movements that are a bit challenging, but not insurmountable. They have very little adjustment on the hammers that reset the hands, and so some of the resets can be soft. And so what I always recommend with these is don't ever really reset it anywhere outside of 11 or 1 o'clock. So if you're way down here and you reset, you're going to put a lot of stress on your chronograph wheel. And so once you're down here, you give it a good solid push, and it's a question of how well aligned this is and how good of a push you can give it. And if it goes back, wants to go back, but sometimes it takes a second push. So that's a fairly standard thing for an A.
mostly because I can't adjust this, the align, you know, how well the hammer goes against that heart. It's just a thing. Anyway, it does reset, and it actually now goes back very close to vertical. I was able to restake the hand a little bit better to get it closer. And we're going to let this go around and show the function of the chronograph. Your hands align very well, so they're lined up. The function of the watch is exactly as it should, so let's go around and see first the date and then the day. Click over. And now that we're down here in the lower quadrant, we can do the quick day and date. So that there goes through just fine. Today is in fact Monday. And I believe it's the 20th. There we go. Okay, so let's again show you reset. The resets really nicely. And the alignment is pretty darn good. You're right before 12, but it's much better than it was. Case cleaned up really well. All new seals, new case back seal, new crown seal, new pusher seals, new crystal. I'll show you your old crystal here. This is going to come back to you with your old seals. They're basically bits of plastic that I'm going to try and preserve for you here. So everything has been made to run extremely well. It's just a really solid watch. Everything just came out beautifully. I'm ready to move on to watch number 2. So this is exciting. I hope you're excited. We're going to get this back to you as soon as we get the other one finished. I just think it came out beautifully. All right. Thank you, Andy.